Speed is my motto, nothing's ever holding back.
Welcome back to another episode of the Lone Road iRacers podcast, the show where we deep dive into sim racing one track at a time. I'm your host, Guy Robertson, and today's episode is a ride on the wild side. We're talking about fear. Not just any fear, but the white-knuckled, foot-lifting kind that creeps in just before you reach the apex of some of iRacing's most infamous corners. Today I'll take you through 5 of the most terrifying turns in the sim, break down why they are so hard, where they are on that individual track, and how to build the confidence to conquer them. So whether you're a seasoned iRacer or fresh on your license, these corners demand your respect. And today you'll learn how to earn theirs. But that's not all. In the second half of today's episode, we're going to head over to California to visit a track that's short in distance but has a big personality. That is Laguna Seca. We'll explore the history of this legendary circuit, how the world-famous Corkscrew came to be, and most of all, how to master it in your sim rig. The first corner we're going to talk about is one at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, known as the Carousel. The location of this corner is about a third into the 20.8 kilometre lap, and it's got a difficulty rating of very high. The corner type is a banked hairpin, and it's known, as we've already called it, the Carousel. Few corners are as iconic or as unsettling as the Carousel. Located early in the mammoth Nordschleife lap, this steeply banked concrete surfaced hairpin is a mechanical and mental challenge. The grip feels odd. The visuals are claustrophobic. You feel like the car is being swallowed whole. So why is it terrifying? You're already carrying high speed from the slight downhill run into it. The rough concrete makes your car bounce. And one wrong line and you're either airborne or you're into the wall. So you have to have a clear strategy to survive that specific corner lap after lap. So here are some tips. Brake while turning in. Don't attack it too aggressively. Personally, I slow down to probably third gear. Let the car settle into the shape of the corner because it's tilting the car to the left and the car is clearly not designed for that. Miss the first apex slightly and aim to hit the second with the car settled in the banking, as I've just said. And most importantly, stay calm. You're in the belly of the beast here, so don't panic. Just maintain momentum and throttle out gently and don't try and rev it up and get out of there quicker than is possible because it will spit you out. Our second most dangerous corner on iRacing is Radion at Spa-Francorchamps. Basically, it's turns 2 to 4. The track, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. The location of it, I think we all know, it's at the start of the lap, just after turn 1 La Source. Difficulty is high, and the corner type is an uphill S-curb, known as Eau Rouge or Radion Como. Radion is one of sim racers' rite of passage. After you blast out of La Source, you're met with a fearsome uphill sweep of Eau Rouge into Radion. The speed is tremendous and the walls are closer than they actually look. So why is this specific corner terrifying for iRacers. Basically, it's blind. You're flat out or nearly flat out. Get it wrong and you're into the wall with no warning. And in races, as a lot of us will know, it's usually lap 1 chaos there. So you're already thinking to get on the brakes quick, which if you've got other racers behind you, causes the pile up and the chaos ensues. So how do you survive Radion? How do the iRacers finally get through it? Here's one tip: lift slightly or commit fully. There's no in between. It's depending on how your car handles it and how confident you are. Turn in early but gently. Practice the line endlessly. It's the only way to thread the needle. And use track limits wisely and keep your tyres on the flat, not on the curb. And definitely not on the curb if it's raining as well. And as we know, Spa is, from a local weather point of view, it rains a lot. So if you've got real world weather, it's probably going to be raining for 1 or 2 laps at least. Now we're going to talk about one of my favourite tracks and one of the most infamous corners on it, Mount Panorama, and the S's, which is known as Turn 8 and 10. Track is Mount Panorama, Bathurst in Australia. The location of this corner is mid-lap coming down from the top of the mountain. The difficulty is high, corner type is fast, tight, downhill chicane, and it's known as the S's, that's spelled E-S-S-E-S. It's one of the most exhilarating but heart-stopping sequences in iRacing itself. The S's in Bathurst. You crest the hill at Skyline, then it's an immediate dance through narrow, fast, downhill directional changes with barriers licking at your mirrors. Why is it terrifying if that explanation isn't enough? You're fully committed. Well, you should be, with almost zero room for correction. Elevation change makes braking tricky, and every corner leads directly into the next. Mistime one and you're done. As we know, there's no relief, no off-road, no off-ramps at Bathurst. It's just straight into a concrete barrier. So how do iRacers survive? Slow the car earlier than you think. Brake in a straight line before you drop in. Maintain the flow through each turn. Use the inside curbs carefully to keep the car balanced. And as you are hearing or seeing, practice here is compulsory, I would say, to give you that muscle memory. And this section is all about rhythm and repetition. Once you've got your fastest entrance and exit to this section, just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Now we're going to have a short break and then we'll be back for an understanding of the 4th most scariest corner in iRacing, listeners. Be right back. We're going to talk now about the 4th corner that is very dangerous on iRacing. This is the 130R at Suzuka. So the track Suzuka International Racing Course in Japan. The corner itself is near the end before the Casio Triangle. The difficulty is high and it's a corner type known as a left-hand sweeper. And it's also known as I've already mentioned, the 130R. The 130R is a beast dressed in elegance. On paper, it's a flowing fast right-hander, But in iRacing, this corner separates the brave from the broken. You're arriving at well over 160 mile an hour in many cars, and the corner is deceptively shallow. It invites overconfidence. And I'm sure, listeners and viewers, you'll recall yourself turning right into the entrance to the corner, only to be met with a slight oversteer or an understeer, and you're onto the matting and an off track. So why is it terrifying? You have to be either flat or close to it. The tiniest error in angle or balance ends in the gravel or the wall. It's late in the lap when your tyres are hot and you're hunting for that last tenth of a second. So how do us the iRacers survive it? Brake lightly at the 50-metre board. Decelerate progressively but not suddenly. Turn in early to open up the exit, and be wary of aero wash when following other cars. Now, our last most dangerous corner takes us back to Spa-Francorchamps, turn 17, known as Blanchimont. The track, Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. The location of this corner is towards the end, just before the bus stop chicane. Difficulty is high, and the corner type is a sweeping left-hander, and as I've said, known as Blanchimont. So back to Spa, we finish with the underrated terror that is known as Blanchimont. At the end of the Kemmel straight run and the technical middle sector, you're flat out approaching a sweeping left that looks easier than it is. But the consequences here are just as brutal as Radion. Why is it terrifying, I hear you ask? You're flat or nearly flat, but just one lift or misalignment ruins your lap or even your race. It has very little runoff if you get it wrong. And cars also get light here due to a slight crest, so the car feels different and can make you panic. So how do we survive this difficult, thrilling corner? You hug the inside early to open up the arc. Don't lift unless absolutely necessary. Turn in progressively but not too sharp. Get your braking and shift done beforehand to avoid unsettling the car mid-corner. So we've been through what I feel are the most dangerous corners within iRacing on, as you've heard, some famous tracks. These corners are terrifying because they demand total respect of any driver. They punish carelessness but reward mastery, and that's the beauty of iRacing. Every lap is a test for us, the drivers. Every mistake is a lesson to learn. So, I'm going to set you listeners a challenge this week. I want you to go and take on one of these 5 corners in a practice session. Record a lap and tag us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. How did you do on one of those corners? But which corner also haunts your dreams? Or have you conquered them all? That's the challenge, folks. Right, we're going to be back in a second and we're going to look at the track Laguna Seca and above all, the infamous Corkscrew. See you in a second.
California sun, head to the Sunshine Coast, the place that I love most.
Laguna Seca then, and the infamous Corkscrew. I think most iRacers would say it's a quite easy track to learn. The only real tricky complex is the Corkscrew, and basically that's what this track is really famous for. So the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca is based in California, USA. The corner we're going to focus on is going to be the Corkscrew, which is turn 8 and 8A. The track length itself is 2.238 miles or 3.602 kilometres, and the Corkscrew itself is classed as a high difficulty corner. So a little bit about Laguna Seca first. So Laguna Seca is one of America's most beloved racing circuits. It was built in 1957 near Monterey, California, and it was designed to replace dangerous public road races around Pebble Beach. The track has hosted everything from MotoGP and IndyCar to IMSA and GT racing. Its natural landscape gives it a distinct rhythm that flows beautifully until you hit the Corkscrew. The track's name comes from the Spanish dry lagoon, which used to sit at the base of the hill where Turn 2 now lives. Over time the layout has changed slightly, but the core challenge remains low grip surfaces, elevation changes with narrow runoffs. So the Corkscrew, ladies and gentlemen, or Turn 8, is known as the Corkscrew. It is perhaps the most iconic corner in North America, and easily one of the most visually jarring in all of motorsport. It's a blind left-hander that instantly transitions into a sharp right while dropping nearly 60 feet in elevation. The elevation of a 5-story building in just a few seconds. In iRacing, the first time you hit the Corkscrew, it feels like falling into a black hole. You can't see the apex, the breaking point is deceptive, and the entry is almost entirely based on driver's instinct. So what makes this infamous corner so difficult? You arrive to it at high speed, usually just after exiting the Rahal Strait. Braking is done uphill with minimal visual markers. You must commit blind, turning left before you see anything. Then you instantly flick right and descend steeply. It's easy to overcook the entry or catch a sausage curb that throws the car airborne. And if you're not lined up perfectly, the car can snap loose or drift wide into the gravel. So how should iRacers approach it? Braking we're going to begin with. So begin braking just past the bridge on the left of the track. Look for the tree or marshal post as visual clues. Begin your turn slightly earlier than your instincts tell you. The goal is to hit the inside left curb without unsettling the car. The drop. Let the car fall downhill naturally. Don't fight it. Just control your steering and avoid stomping the throttle. And what about the exit? Once you've flicked right, stay tight to the inside curb. The camber helps you then rotate the car. Don't run too far wide on exit or you'll lose grip on the painted curbs. And finally, a theme through most of these corners is practice, practice, practice. Use ghost laps, especially from top splits, to understand the rhythm. You'll need muscle memory more than vision. So my final thoughts today on Laguna Seca. So Laguna Seca's Corkscrew may be just one turn, but listeners and viewers, it defines the entire lap and the track. If you can master it, the rest of the circuit flows naturally, and in iRacing, if you can master it, it's a badge of honour. Well, we hit another significant milestone on the podcast. Hopefully you've heard about it, you've seen it in social media. We have now surpassed 10,000 downloads, viewers and listeners. So personal massive thanks to you, the listeners, and especially if you've been with the podcast from the very start. we're still not we're still not into our 4th year yet. So, and my commitment is to carry on the podcast for the future. I'm still looking for a co-host to come and join me in the booth, shall we say, as we make the podcast. And I'd love to hear more topics that you, the listeners and viewers, would like me to talk about or discuss. So to close the podcast this week, you've heard about 5 of the most fear-inducing, skill-demanding corners in the whole of iRacing, plus a bonus look at the legendary Laguna Seca and its infamous Corkscrew corner. These aren't just places to survive, they're where races are won, lost or thrown away. Conquering them doesn't just require pace, it requires practice, patience and precision, the 3 Ps. Every sim racer has a corner that haunts them, so which one is yours? Well, thanks for joining me today on the Lone Road iRacers podcast. Don't forget to leave feedback wherever you pick the podcast up from, and stay tuned for more episodes diving deep into the tracks and trains that make iRacing the pinnacle of online motorsport. Until next time, keep your line tight and your mind sharper. Happy iRacing, and I will see you on the track soon.
Whatever it takes, we're racing, we're in the zone. Whatever it takes, we push hard, never alone. I'm in the cockpit, the engines roar, hear me now. We're racing circles, got a hustle made a vow. Chasing victory, it's all or nothing on the track. Speed is my motto, nothing's ever holding back. Whatever it takes, we're racing, we're in the zone.